a dedicated team within the product group, within the Windows division. We are made up of a dedicated test team, a dedicated development team, our own program management team, and we're actually part of the Windows product group itself, not part of product support services. So we are the touch point, if you will, for product support services to be able to get in contact with the Windows product team, but we're not actually part of the product support group directly. We own the code base for Windows after it is released to manufacturing, and at that point that it actually goes RTM, the source code is taken down or taken offline out of the core Windows build lab, and it is physically transferred over and brought back up into our build lab, and we then maintain all the source access and source control for that source code. The Windows core developers can still have access to it, but physically ownership of it and responsibility for it is transferred into the Windows Sustained Engineering team at that point. Currently we own NT4 and Windows 2000, and that's being supported through the IDC. And Windows XP and Server 2003 ownership is here in Redmond. All changes made to any of the operating systems are reviewed for inclusion into the next version of the operating system. So if we make a fix into NT4, it is also reviewed for inclusion into Windows 2000, Windows XP, Server 03, and then also into the Longhorn code base, so that we don't have any regressions on our customers when they go to upgrade to the next version of the operating system, just making sure that every fix we do is carried forward into every other operating system that we put out. Here's our vision, our mission, and our goals. As you'll notice, it's very customer-centric. We are here and we are in existence for the sole purpose of supporting our customers. So we're providing customers a secure and reliable Windows platform. Our mission is to ensure that our customers can easily maintain that secure and reliable platform. And we're here to deliver individual and aggregated or cumulative high-quality fixes for customers in a timely and easy to obtain and deploy manner. So our goals are to fix customer bugs in a timely fashion. That's our quick response time aspect to the business. We improve the reliability, compatibility, security, and deployability, a lot of abilities there, of the Windows operating systems. And we develop technologies to improve patch quality. And you'll notice customer-centric and quality are our two main focuses here in WinSE. Timeliness is important, but we're making sure that we're servicing our customers first by not introducing regressions, making sure that we're always providing high-quality fixes, high-quality service packs, and that we don't compromise on quality. We would rather take a hit in the time it takes to actually deliver a fix or a service pack than we would on its quality. The last thing we want to do is recall something from our customers. Here's an organizational chart for the Sustained Engineering team. Mac Agashe is our general manager. Many of you know already, he reports through Brian Valentine, up through Jim Alchin to Steve Ballmer. Mac has 4 main directs. I'm his business manager. Alan Bach owns and drives our development org. Manil Shah owns and drives the test team. And John Gray owns and drives our program management team. And you have in front of you also the primary leads under each of Mac's directs. Mark Means for base, NK for network, Corey Gill for directory services, and Andrew for shell in the development org. I won't go through each of those, but those are your primary contacts from a lead perspective for who you would need to go to in the event you had questions for around each of these different areas. So if you had a test question about DS security, you would go to Russ Surridge. So it's good information to have. And that's also in your decks. So what is it that the WinSE team provides? Well, primarily we have an obligation to fix customer issues that occur in our product. And we do that in a variety of ways. We provide individual fixes to individual customers, and we call those hot fixes. Sorry for the feedback. Hot fixes are individual fixes. Right in front. So would it be better if I was just right here? Okay, no problem. Okay. Hot fixes are individual fixes that we provide very quickly to an individual customer who has contacted Microsoft and has informed us that they have run into a problem with our product. They're a fast fix, address a single problem. We do appropriate testing on that fix to make sure that we don't drastically break anything. And again, the key is that it's limited distribution. So it's addressing a single customer's problem. And that's our term, hot fix. We also provide what's called security hot fixes or redistributable hot fixes. These are, they have been called hot fixes, but we also call them security patches or security updates. And the key difference between these and a standard hot fix is that these go to a more broad customer base. And they're usually provided through Windows Update or through our OEM channels. So for a security fix, we do broad distribution through Windows Update. We do much broader and more in-depth testing on these fixes to make sure that any of the fixes that are included in those binaries are also fixed, or also don't cause regressions, and they go through a multi-week test pass, which many of you are as well familiar with as well. Question?
So is it necessary that can it happen that these security fixes are coded by the customer and then we distribute them as hot fixes to the customer and then later release them as security hot fixes for the rest of the customer base?
It's a good question. So the question is, if we have a security fix that is reported, or a security issue that's reported by a customer, is that fix, or could that fix be provided as a standard hot fix specifically to that one customer, and then later provided to a more broad audience? Is that, in essence, the question? Actually, we do not. What we happen if it's a security issue or security vulnerability that we're addressing with the hot fix, we do not want to release that specific security solution or that hot fix to an individual customer under the first category, because that would give that customer the ability to patch their systems prior to any other customer that we have patching their systems. It would give, in essence, preferential treatment to that one customer. Also, depending on who that customer is, they would then now understand the nature of the vulnerability, and that could leak out and turn into a nightmare for us, so that we basically pre-announcing that we have a security issue and making that fix available to those customers could ultimately come around and bite us. Any fixes that we provide that are actually addressing security issues are kept real close in-house until the day that we actually release them, and we make sure that they go through the depth testing for each component and the breadth testing across all the components before we actually do release them. It's a good question. Yes?
Like before releasing the hotfix, say suppose a customer reports proof of concept. Like how do you decide going about hotfix based on a proof of concept?
Help me understand what you mean by proof of concept here.
Suppose a customer or a group has reported saying that this component of Windows, I mean a Windows component has some sort of security issue, and they are brought up with a white paper saying that this is how it can be done.
This is how it can be exploited?
Yeah. So how do you go about developing that into a hotfix, security hotfix?
So let me repeat the question back to you and see if I understand it. So if we have a customer who's reporting what is a potential vulnerability in our product, and they've produced a white paper or some kind of formal description of the problem, how do we go about responding back to that customer's issues? Let me ask one clarifying question here. Would they have released this particular white paper to the general public, or is this something they've kept internal?
Yeah, they have released it to public.
To the public. We try, generally, if they are getting ready to release this to the public, we generally try to work with those customers to make sure they do not announce anything prior to us having a hotfix available. We're not going to necessarily provide that particular customer with a solution, a hotfix package to address that vulnerability until it's more broadly available or made broadly available to our entire customer base. But if they have a detailed description of the vulnerability, how to exploit it, and we don't have a hotfix solution that we're getting ready to make broadly available, again, we try and work with them, but we call that think of a nice word for it. It's not a good thing for that customer to do that to us, right, and to unleash that knowledge on the internet and have hackers do it. It's an aggressive thing for that customer to do, and if they were to release that paper, although we've said please don't, we would then scramble and at the very critical nature of that issue, go out and then release a patch. What's that called? It's the term's called a day one vulnerability or a day one release vulnerability, and there is, I think there's an issue today in IE with that very, very nature. It's not a good thing. I don't have a good answer for you other than it triggers a very critical, very fast or rapid response internal to Microsoft to be able to respond to that public paper that's out there now. Again, we're not compromising on quality, but yet the longer that delta is between the time that paper or that announcement has gone out until we can provide a fix on Windows Update, the more systems potentially can be affected, and if it's a worm, can spread more through the internet. So again, I don't have a good answer for that other than we try to work real close with that customer to mitigate them actually releasing that paper. So it's just a very aggressive, very bad thing for that customer to have done to us. It happens, but we try to mitigate that. So that's security hotfixes. Service packs are very well tested roll-up or collection of all our hotfixes. Security patches include all of the hotfixes from category number 1, plus all the hotfixes and security issues and redistributable hotfixes in category number 2, plus it is all of the fixes that we have found internally that we have only made or checked into the service pack source code tree. So we may not have released internally found fixes or internally found bugs. As we fix those, we may not release that as a hotfix, but half the service pack could be made up in internally found issues found in test, found by a developer doing a code review, found by a customer who did not want a hotfix but yet simply wanted that particular issue fixed in the next service pack. All of that gets rolled up into a service pack. So the service pack is, the message here is we're focusing the service pack as a very, very well-tested roll-up of all the fixes. I would go so far as to say, from my experience, that service packs are actually more tested than our security fixes are, simply because we go through a very extensive beta program with our service packs. There are many, many thousands of people out there running our service packs in a beta program, in a pre-release program, finding issues, interop issues, application compatibility issues. Those get reported back to us and we address them. Far more people are doing that to our service packs than they are on our security fixes. So you can think of these also as in layers of testing. Hotfixes get very little testing, although they're appropriately tested. Security patches, definitely more. And service packs, much more than that. There's a couple things that we focus on inside service packs as well. The key is obviously to ship without regressions. We minimize the feature creep, so we don't want new features to get included into service packs. It's a message or a mantra we've been preaching for I don't know how long. New features do get into service packs for a variety of reasons. The next version of DirectX may get included into a service pack. The new version of Media Player may get included into the service pack. Primarily those are to address security issues. Sometimes a customer may want our product to behave in a little different manner. We'll include that feature request, that design change request, that DCR, into the service pack, but our goal is to not do that. We don't want to change the way that our product behaves. We don't want a customer to install a service pack and all of a sudden their environment behaves differently, or their computers, their servers or their desktops respond differently, or the user interface, the UI changes and their customers have to be, or their employees have to be retrained. We simply don't want that to happen when they go to deploy our service packs. So we're very careful to not make those type of changes. And we provide different kinds of service pack offerings. So it's not just a full integrated media. We also offer individual download files. We offer the patch or the delta compression, smaller versions of the files. We offer a network install. There's a variety of different ways we deliver our service packs, but the end result is the same deliverable to the customer. The other thing we offer to our customers is what's called collaboration requests. This is also known as RFCs, or requests for collaborations, not to be confused with RFCs, requests for comments on the internet for handling new things that come out from that affect the internet. But collaboration requests, or RFCs in this case, it's a process that involves the product group, kind of a three-way communication channel, with the customer having a problem, contacting product support services, and that product support service engineer maybe not having as much experience to be able to solve that problem. They need help. They need help from the product group, and so they engage us through the collaboration request process, and that allows us, not using a hotfix solution, but using maybe a white paper as a solution, or a knowledge base article, something to clarify how a specific problem can be resolved. But again, it may not require a code change, it may not require a hotfix. And so they go through this collaboration request process. There's goals and turnaround times, and it's a way for our customers to very quickly solve their issues, their problems that don't necessarily require the hotfixes. The other thing that Windows Sustained Engineering team provides is the content management for Windows Update. So we also have a release team and a content management team. So when you go to the Windows Update site and you get the listing of all the updates that are available there, making those available, the wording of those offerings, deciding how they get installed, when they get installed, all that is also controlled and managed by the Windows Sustained Engineering team through our content management team. So there's a lot there. Questions? Okay. So distribution. Requested by our enterprise customers, our big IT shops, customers who have premier accounts with Microsoft, so annual support contracts. Those are the customers that tend to come to us and ask us to fix bugs in our products and are requiring a hotfix type solution. They are not generally requested of by end users or consumers at their residence. They're just simply not going to ask for this type of solution. They may run into an issue, but it's not generally the type that we would provide a hotfix to solve that problem. The other main distribution channel would be through OEMs. So we actually do the full regression testing, the full breadth and depth testing of our hotfixes like we would for security issues, but the issue may not go up to Windows Update. This particular hotfix may go out to our OEMs to get included on their assembly lines in their laptops or desktop production facilities. So it's super important to help these customers very quickly, but also with very high quality fixes. This is a set of customers that tend to make Microsoft the most money. These are the customers who purchase our licenses or sell the licenses to the end users. These customers generally are making or producing thousands of computers per day. Think of Dell, think of Gateway, Hewlett-Packard. When their production assembly lines are down because of an issue in Windows that they have found, maybe at the late stage of their production facility, they are not producing and shipping their product. They're not selling Windows for us. And they're losing money, we're losing money, and it can work into, and I've seen it work into, millions of dollars per day lost because their production line simply was down because of a bug in Windows. And what they need to do, and what they do is escalate the issue through product support services up to us. We produce a fix, we make the code change, we check it in, produce the package, that hotfix package. It goes through regression testing, does the depth testing, the breadth testing. We sign off on it, and we finally hand it to them. That entire process can take 30, 60, I've seen it take 160 days. If there's millions and millions of dollars per day affected, the math gets very impressive. So we want to make sure that our OEMs are taken care of very quickly, but yet we can't ship them something that they run with for a few days, and all of a sudden their customers are calling them saying, you know what, I found this bug. I can't format my hard drive. I can't access my CD-ROM drive. Whatever our fix was may cause something else. We have to recall that fix and issue another one. It's not a good thing. So we want to make sure that, again, we're providing OEMs with very fast turnaround time for their fixes, but yet, again, the quality must be very, very high. And our last distribution channel, which we've touched on quite a bit, is also known quite commonly in our team as a general distribution release, or a GDR. And a GDR is just that. It's a general distribution release. It can be to an OEM. Primarily, though, it's up to Windows Update. And primarily, these are for our security fixes and our critical fixes. We also provide these through the software update services. So these are the security fixes that go through a SUS out to our corporate customers who are using SUS to distribute and deploy security patches into their corporate environment. But GDRs, you'll hear the term covering security fixes and critical fixes primarily, but GDRs also cover our redistribution fixes for our OEMs. So you can use that term interchangeably. Questions there? Product life cycle. So once we ship something, and this was true up until a couple of years ago, we supported it forever. We provided hot fixes whenever anybody needed anything, any of them. The customers could call product support services, and as long as they gave us a credit card number, we would answer their question. We would try and produce a service pack, 12, 16, 18 months, like clockwork for all our products. And what we found is we had too many products out there. We kept adding products to the marketplace. People would adopt NT4 or 351. A few people would take on Windows 2000. A few more people would take on XP. People are starting to adopt Server 03. But still, half of our installed base for Windows is running NT4. They still use it in mission-critical applications. There's still a lot of web-facing NT4 servers serving IIS content. It's out there. It's very pervasive. It's very pervasive in Asia. It's changing, but there's still a lot of boxes out there running NT4. So what we do, so we don't have to support products forever, like every other company does, is we end of life a product. We have a specific life cycle around each product. We have a standard 11-year product life cycle model that's divided up into these three categories. We have 5 years of standard or mainstream. You'll hear it as well. We have 2 years of extended support that customers actually have to purchase from us. So the first 5 years is per incident. It's through a standard support contract, or they can call PSS and give us a credit card number. But in essence, it's free support. and it's supported for 5 years. The next 2 years, the extended, is paid support. And they actually have to have a special extended support contract with us to be able to request a hotfix. After those 7 years, support's done. The planet doesn't really know about the other 4 years of custom. It's hinted at on our website, but a customer can come after the 7 years and ask us for an additional 4 more years of support. It's very expensive. It can be up to several $1,000,000 per year and several $100,000s per hotfix that they request, to give you general ideas of pricing. But it costs that much to be able to provide sustained engineering for those full 11 years. And that allows a customer to call us up after we've stopped shipping security patches on Windows Update. They can call us up and ask us for a security patch on NT4 in those custom years, and we'll actually provide them with a security patch for NT4 if we're able. So currently we're sustaining NT4 Workstation. It's in the custom phase of support. It's either in the first or the second year of custom phase right now. We're supporting NT4 Server and Terminal Server. It's currently in extended phase through December of this year. And then Windows 2000, Windows XP, and Server 2003 are all in the standard or mainstream of support. And they go into extended and custom at intervals, deltas from their actual ship date, their release date to the public. Yes?
Is there a plan to ensure that the new version of the operating system is always released within 5 years?
It's an excellent question.
Because if that is not the case, OEM and the regular individual users
They get in a bind. So the question is there a plan to ensure that our operating system platforms, the new ones, are being released within 5 years? Basically to ensure that we always have at least 2 products in the marketplace at all time. So you don't want to have a customer have the only choice for a Windows client be XP, for example. We want to make sure that Longhorn is shipped before Windows 2000 Workstation is out of the 5-year support model. Basically, that's your question. There's the goal to have that, but there is no assurance, if you will, from the product team that we will continue to ship our platforms in a timely basis to ensure that something's available in the product or in the marketplace, that we'll have 2 Windows platforms in the marketplace at all time. It's just very difficult to frame the development of a product like Windows to ensure that that happens. One of my main priorities, or one of my main responsibilities in WinSE, is to manage this process for the Windows division. And we are working now to revamp this whole lifecycle model to ensure, one of the goals is to ensure that we do have at least 2 products in the marketplace at all time. It's easier said than done. It's a very difficult thing to make sure that engineering, forward-thinking engineering, is happening at a fast enough pace to get those products out. It's definitely a challenge. It's one of our goals. We need to think about how to do that, though, so we don't have a solution today. It's a 2-year, we have 2 years of history with the life cycle so far. I think it was introduced in October of 2002, so we're actually not quite 2 years of history. But we already see that, yeah, there's challenges here that we need to address, and that's one of them. Service Pack hotfix support. So not only do we have a life cycle model around each individual platform, but we also have a life cycle model around each individual service pack. We can't, although customers want it, we can't support service packs forever. If I have, for example, Windows 2000 Service Pack 1 on all of my machines, and I need a security fix for it, I can't come to Microsoft today and request that security fix for Service Pack that will lay down on top of Service Pack 1. the testing would be an absolute nightmare for the sustained engineering team. It is just expensive to be able to provide that level of testing across not only NT4, but if you just take Windows 2000 and you open it up and say, we will provide security fixes for Windows 2000 Service Pack 1 and Service Pack 2 and Service Pack 3 and Service Pack 4, well, that's 4 times the amount of testing you would have to do. Today, we provide support for Windows 2000 Service Pack 4 and Service Pack 3 because of this lifecycle model around service packs. So, to give you the idea here, support is provided for the current service pack level, Service Pack 4 for Windows 2000 in our example, and the immediately preceding service pack. We also call it N-1. So current service pack's N, immediately preceding service pack would be N-1. And we provide that support for security fixes and also then for non-security hot fixes. So it sounds like we always support 2 service packs running, but that's not true because today for NT4, we only provide support for Service Pack 6A. We don't provide SP5 support for NT4. And that's due to the second bullet here. The immediately preceding service pack is only supported for 12 months once the current service pack ships. Okay, so if I go back to Windows 2000 in my example, Service Pack 3 for Windows 2000 shipped in July of 2002, I believe. Service Pack 4 shipped in July of 2003, 12 months later. Service Pack 3 support ends 12 months after Service Pack 4 shipped. So if you do the date calculation, we will terminate support for Service Pack 3 on August 1st of this year, because Service Pack 4 will have been out for 1 year. I have a request from a customer to continue providing support for Service Pack 3 until the summertime of next year. They want an extra year to be able to request security fixes and hot fixes. And here's their scenario. Normally we would say no, because we just simply can't afford the testing. But here's their scenario. They have thousands of servers. About half of them are running NT4 Service Pack 6, and the other half is running Windows 2000 Service Pack 3. They want to migrate all of their several thousand servers to Windows Server 2003. So they don't want to take their Windows 2000 servers and put them to Service Pack 4 only to eventually get them to Server 03. And they don't want to take their NT4 boxes and get them to Windows 2000 only to get them eventually to Server 03. They want to jump everything and take all several thousand of servers and get to Server 03. And they can only do that by the summertime of next year. So if we tell them, no, we're not going to provide SP3 support, they are either going to do without security fixes until next year for their Windows 2000 boxes, which doesn't seem like the right thing to do to customers, or they're going to be forced to do an intermediate migration to Service Pack 4 just to be able to request security fixes, and then do a whole nother migration project, very expensive, to finally get from Service Pack 4 to Server 03. There's no easy answer here, right? If this is the right thing to do for the customer to be able to provide Service Pack 3 support, but yet it's very expensive and very time-consuming on our side and very impactful to all our other products that we support. So we're trying to weigh those decisions. It's a very difficult decision to make. If I tell a customer no, I put them in a very bad situation. And they're not alone. There's many customers in that same scenario. If I say yes, we incur additional costs, and it's just a huge hit to us. So those are the things we wrestle with here in the life cycle. Questions on this?
What's the difference between the A version and the regular version?
The question is, let me repeat this to make sure I understand. What's the difference between NT4 SP6 and NT4 SP6A? It's a very minor difference. fact, I've been told the story several times. It happened before I was here. We actually had to recall SP6 because of, I think it was an application compatibility issue. Chris, do you remember the history behind the difference between NT4 SP6 and NT4 SP6A? It's a very minor difference, but I can't remember exactly what it is. You weren't here either. Okay, I'll find out for you. I can.
Something similar in XP, SP1 SP1 and
SP1A, right. There it was a legal issue that we had to resolve and reship that based on a court order. But NT4 was not the same issue. It was I think it was an application compatibility issue. So if you want, send me a piece of mail so I can reply to you, and I'll find out for you, point you to the right direction. We have it documented. So, any other questions? Okay. Roadmap. How are we doing for time? About halfway through. Roadmap goals. So, in line with your question about when the core product group, when Windows is going to ensure or have a goal that we're going to ship our platforms so that there's always at least 2 of our products in the marketplace during those first 5 years of support, customers ask us, when are you going to ship the next service pack? That's a very, very common question, and has been on the dozens of customer visits I go on, emails that come up from the account teams. You'll get them regularly. When's the next service pack coming? When's XP/SP2 going to ship? When's SP5 for Windows 2000 going to ship? And the answer is, well, we can't guarantee when it's going to ship. It's going to ship when we have enough assurance that it meets the quality bar, that it addresses all the customer's issues, that it's fully regression tested. Those are the type of answers we give because that's the truth. But in essence, we don't know when it's going to ship. You can't say it's going to ship on July 4th of this year, SP5 is going to go out. We don't know, right? So what we did was we worked with 30 of our major customers, and we said we can't give you that formal timeline. It's just impossible to tell you how long it's going to take to engineer these service packs. What's the next best thing? Let's develop a roadmap that by quarter lays out when we think, based on our experience in developing service packs, when we think we're going to ship the service packs for our various products. And we're going to update that roadmap every quarter. So they're going to see this roadmap change. They may see Service Pack 5 have an estimated delivery date of Q4 of this year. And then the next time they see the roadmap the following quarter, they may see it bumped out to Q1 of 2005. And the next time it gets bumped out to Q2 of 2005. So they'll at least have an updated roadmap of how we see our product development happening. Again, it was based on customer feedback, is when we're going to deliver the service pack, making sure that the fixes are going to be delivered there. We're going to do a 12 to 24 month roadmap so our customers can plan their deployment schedules, their upgrade schedules, both for IT, for enterprise companies, as well as for OEMs. And this is our current published roadmap. So Windows 2000, SP5, we're not even giving them the quarter. We're just saying, we think it's going to ship sometime in 2005. And they're saying, what quarter? What half? 2005. That's what we currently believe we're going to be able to ship Service Pack 5 in. That's public information that's been sent to the planet. XP/SP2, we believe it's going to ship sometime in Q2 of 04. Good slip, but that's the current roadmap. Server 03, SP1, Q3 of this year. And then NT4, we have no service packs and no security rollup packages planned. We had a Service Pack 7 planned for NT4, and that was actually in our roadmap for years. It never materialized, and finally we had customer feedback that they didn't want any more service packs. As long as we were doing security fixes for it, they didn't want service packs. We did do one, I believe, or two, I think one security roll-up package for NT4 where we took all the individual security fixes that were out there to the public, we rolled them up into one nice package and shipped that. I think that was 1 or 2 years ago. And that allowed someone, a customer who had NT4, just download one individual package. So they didn't have to go out and download 30 or 60 individual security packages. That's our roadmap. That's the goal behind the roadmap. Yes?
The previous slide says NT4 is in a custom support. Do you still provide security patches to things which are in custom?
Not normally. It's a very good question. So the question is, NT4 is currently in the custom phase of support. The question is, do we normally provide security patches for those products that are in the custom phase of support? No, we don't. We do provide it for extended support. The customers have to pay for the extended product, but they get security patches for free. What they get is the ability to request hotfix packages. In custom, we normally don't provide any security patches, but for NT4 we made an exception. And what we decided is, for both workstation and server, we would provide free of charge on Windows Update for the world security patches because we had so many customers on NT4 and so many customers were requesting security patches for NT4. It was just the right thing to go do. It's an exception. For Windows 2000, we have no plans to offer free security support for the first year of custom. But I don't know what's going to happen there. It could happen. So ask the question, but no, not normally. We do not do that. Yes?
When NT4 was released to the world, was this support cycle was published then?
The 11-year model?
Yes.
The question is, when NT4 was released back in, I think it's 1986, was this life cycle announced or available back then? No, it wasn't. And that was the day I think we had supported everything. We had no thought about how long we should support our products. It was a shock to our customers to all of a sudden find out that they had NT4, they had purchased it, they had deployed it on thousands and thousands of servers, thousands and thousands of desktops, and support was going to get cut off on this date, and they had to migrate. All of a sudden it was shocked, right? We have worked with our customers to develop migration plans, to offer additional years of free security patch support, to be able to wean them off of NT4, incentives, if you will, to get them off. Many customers are moving, many customers are not. It was a huge shock when we announced this back in October of 2002 to many of our customers that Microsoft's not going to support it anymore. Many of our customers still don't believe that we're going to turn off NT4 support in a couple of years. Customers have purchased custom support for NT4, but we've only sold it through December of 2005. So there are no customers in existence that I have approved, or WinSE has approved, support past 2005. So it's going to be a shock, but it's been messaged, and it's a difficult thing for customers to take. But I think we've gone the distance. We've done the right thing repeatedly to help them get off. There's a lot of words on this slide. Service Pack Customer Guidelines. Service Pack must meet the expectations and requirements of our customers. You can sum up this whole slide in 3 words. Don't break it. It's quality. It's all about quality. It's making sure that we're not going to ship any regressions. I don't know if it's mentioned here in this slide, but when we ship a service pack, we think of it as shipping Windows for the first time. And we run every single test that was developed for Windows 2000, for example. We run every single test on every single service pack that we ship. So SP4 had the same quality bar when we shipped SP4 as Windows 2000 did when it RTM'd from the core team. Plus, SP4 also had all the other tests that were written during the production of SP1, SP2, and SP3. Every bug fix that we made, a test plan was developed to ensure that it addressed the issue and also it didn't cause any other regressions. The original test suite was ran. plus all these other tests were executed against SP4 when it shipped. So it's safe to say that SP4 actually was of higher quality, was more reliable, more stable, more secure, more robust than Windows 2000 RTM was, than SP1 was, and SP2 was, or SP3 was. Regressions sneak in, but we can't do that to our customers. We make sure that the quality is there. We will ship no service pack until it's time. We will hold the shipment until we're sure of the quality. That sums up this whole slide. We talked a lot about what goes into service packs. The service pack is that deliverable where everything comes together and it is well tested. All the security fixes that we produced, I know I've mentioned this, but this is the mantra. All the security fixes that we produced, all of those individual hot fixes that we gave to our enterprise customers, all of those fixes that we gave to OEMs, every single fix that we fixed internally or found internally and did an individual code check-in, all those go into that service pack and they're all tested together. That is where interaction issues come in. That's where you're going to find that this fix over here in the USB stack somehow breaks the wallpaper for whatever reason, and the wallpaper doesn't display quite right. And the two areas seem very disconnected. But we've had issues like that where, yep, the wallpaper is not displaying because of this USB fix. Doesn't make any sense until you dig into it, you debug it, and you're like, well, yeah, that's because the USB stack is plugged in here and it flows over here, and that that touches the GDI area over here, and yep, sure enough, it causes that problem. So this is where all that comes together, and all of that is found out, and that's why that we do all these testings and checking for regressions. Talks about proactive fixes. These, again, the internally found or internally discovered bugs. And we have limited DCRs. So again, this is the design change request where customers may have asked us to please change the functionality of our product. Well, normally we don't do that, but if we do it, it's going to get included in the service pack. And generally we put those type of changes behind a registry key so that everyone who installs the service pack isn't going to get that feature change. They're not going to get that functionality change unless they change that registry key, and then it'll change that for them. Maybe a UI change, maybe the way Active Directory behaves, it may be the way a USB stack behaves. But normally it's turned off, and we'll turn on that feature through a registry key. Okay. Any questions on this? Yes, sir.
Do we have the responsibility of application compatibility for risk?
So the question is, does the sustained engineering team own the responsibility of application compatibility in service packs? From a test perspective, there is an application compatibility team. It is under Brandon Foreman on the test team. I know that we only test a small subset, only several thousand applications of the tens of thousands of applications that are out there, and they're divided into tiers, and only like the top tier and part of the next tier down are tested. Yes, we own that responsibility. To what level or degree application compatibility testing is done, I couldn't answer that. That'd be a good question for our app compat test manager. But the short answer is yes, we do own it.
So, original app compat team also involved in this?
In testing of service packs? Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yes, I'm sorry.
Similar question. Do we have any mechanism to find security issues, especially? Because from what I have learned, most of the testing in WinSE revolves around finding functionality problems. Do we have a mechanism to find security issues?
So the question is, it appears that the focus of the sustained engineering team is to find and address functionality issues as opposed to security issues. And I don't know of a specific team inside of the sustained engineering team that's primary mission is to go and look for security vulnerabilities. I know there are several teams within Microsoft, specifically for Windows, there's several Windows teams outside of the sustain engineering team that their responsibilities are varied. We have a red team that actually goes and tries to break our products as they're deployed on Microsoft.com, MSNBC.com, MSN.com, and any of our internet properties. There's an internal red team that is actually trying to break into our intranet servers and desktops, making sure that we're looking at it from that perspective. There's an entire team of code reviewers who are constantly doing reviews of new code that gets checked into the products. And there are response teams that are responding to internal fines and to external fines, and they kind of boil those down into a response process. But to address your specific question, no, I don't know of any specific group of people inside the WinSE team that actually has a responsibility for looking at security issues in our product. I know that as code gets checked into the source tree, it's scanned through the use of some automated scanning tools to look for buffer overruns and other type of vulnerabilities. And it goes through an engineering review before it gets checked in for specific security issues. But in general, not that I'm aware of. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but not that I'm aware of. Long-winded answers. Other questions? So we stepped through several of our processes. We have the hotfix process, we have the GDR process, we have the OEM redistribution process, service pack process, collaboration request process. This, by far, is the highest volume of our deliverables. We produce or provide, I would imagine, 100 to 200 hotfixes per month to customers through this. Again, these hotfixes are single fixes to one or two specific customers who are running into the specific problem. These are not the broadly released or general distribution release hotfixes. And this is the process that a customer, primarily an enterprise customer, one who owns a premier contract with Microsoft, would use in order to receive their hotfix. The customer contacts product support services, and the product support services team has several different layers, but they triage the issue, they repro the issue, they have access, read-only access, to the Windows source code, and they can actually go in and validate that, yep, this is a true bug in the Windows operating system, here's the module, here's the line of code that's causing the problem, and they may even be savvy enough and have the experience to recommend a solution, a code change to actually address this bug to our developers here in WinSE. But all that's done in product support services. And that may take 30 to 60 days from the time the customer first calls until they've confirmed that, yep, it's a bug in Windows. That's a lot of time for a customer to wait for a solution. Again, these aren't security issues, but this could be, for example, an airline company whose ticketing system is down. And they may raise an issue that could take that long to solve. Normally, those take only a matter of days to repro and isolate where the problem is, but it's that type of issue that we're solving here. Or a financial institution, their ATM machines may be down until we can address this particular issue. It's those type of problems we're fixing here. That escalation comes on into the WinSE team, and one of our developers provides what's called a private or a buddy fix for that product support services engineer to verify. So that developer on our side is going to have a copy of the Windows source code on their development machine. They're going to go into that module that product support services has identified as the problem. They're going to make the code change, either the one that the PSS engineer has recommended or the one the developer decides is the best solution. And they're going to compile that one binary or a few sets of binaries, and they're going to provide those binaries to PSS to go validate. And that either solves the problem or it doesn't. If it does seem to solve the problem, the PSS will then hand those binaries off to the customer to validate. Now, that's not the solution. That's just a preliminary, hey, check this out. Tell me if this fixes the problem or not. Once the customer approves it, that response comes all the way back up to the developer, and it actually goes into what's called management approval or WAR approval, and it is the business and engineering policies then get applied to that fix before it actually gets checked into the real source tree for inclusion into the service pack or into any other binaries that get built out of those modules. This management approval process, again, it's through the WinSE WAR team. It is the people don't like to use the term war sometimes for what this is. It's the development managers, the test managers, and the program managers getting together in a room, generally about as many as there are here right now, that review each and every one of these changes, and said, you know what, is this the right thing to do? Is this going to cause us problems later on? Do we think the fix that the developer did is the right fix? Did he or she introduce any syntax errors or semantic errors or any security issues get introduced here? All that's done through this management approval process. Once dev, test, and PM look at this change and say, yep, this is the right thing to go do, then it gets approval for the developer to actually check it into the true source tree. And then they issue a build request, and that fix gets built into the binaries that make up where that fix landed. It could be one binary, it could be 10 or 20 binaries. It gets generated in all languages, across all the SKUs, and then they have different installation types. So we could have a single package, we could have a binary delta compression package, we could have a variety of ways that fix gets delivered to our customers. It gets built and verified by our build lab. It's done. It's put through appropriate testing, not the depth and breadth testing that we talk about for GDRs or for security fixes, but a smaller subset of tests just to make sure that, yeah, this isn't going to just blatantly break anything. And then we release it. And we release it only to PSS, along with a knowledge base article that goes public that says, here's an issue. It's a bug in our product. And if you have this problem, you may call PSS with this knowledge base article, and we'll give you this hotfix package. But you have to initiate the call to PSS as the customer in order to get that hotfix package. That's how this process is working. Questions? So what we didn't go through is the whole security release process, which is very detailed. But in essence, it's the same type of thing. We have a customer. In this case, it could be an aggressive, to use a nice word, individual or company out there that has found a security issue and is threatening to go public with it. It's the same type of process that we go through to provide a fix for that, except we do larger amounts of testing, and it's released through a broader audience. Couple final thoughts. I cannot stress this enough. We are incredibly busy with our two primary goals of focusing on the customer's issues, making sure that we're addressing our customers, and making sure that we are focusing on quality. Our guard never goes down. I mean, we have got to make sure that we're doing the right thing at all times. Those two main goals that are identified here in bullets 2 and 3 make bullet 1 a reality. We're constantly busy. We're constantly running from place to place. You will see people running down the hallways in a panic or a frenzy. It's always addressing a customer's issue or a quality issue and making sure that we're doing the right thing. It's a fun place to work. I've loved it here. It's a fantastic place to work. That's why I continue to be here. I just think it's wherever I go, no matter who I talk to, when they find out that I'm in Microsoft, if they don't work in Microsoft, they go, cool, what do you do there? I said, well, I work in the Windows division. That's cool, what do you do there? I said, well, I work in the sustain engineering team. And they go, what? I go, I work in the sustain engineering team. It's the team, and I think for a second, and I go, how do you explain what we do? I go, do you know about service packs? And usually I'm talking to a consumer, my grandma, or my next door neighbor. And they go, service packs. Nope, don't have a clue. I go, you know that little pop-up that happens that says, you have a security fix, and you need to download it, or we've downloaded it, you want to install it. And they say, yes, I know about that. I go, that's me. And they go, that's you? I go, well, me and probably about 500 other people. And they go, cool job. I'm like, yeah, I like it. That's us in a nutshell. Customers and quality. That's our job. Any questions? Any other questions? Yes.
Again, on what we said.
Sure.
Basically, supposing there is an issue on a specific platform, so the Japanese platform, it is specific to that particular platform. Okay. In that particular scenario, we fix that particular issue, okay, and deliver it to the customer. But do we take the extra effort to even redress that particular issue on similar platforms, say Korean and Japanese, which use similar scripts, wherein the chances of introducing that bug is pretty high?
Pretty hot, right.
And do we make those fixes available for next service factor as well, or is it just on a request basis that the customer might have just requested it for a Japanese platform?
It's an excellent question. So let me reiterate it, again, make sure I don't miss anything. We have a customer who has has found a specific issue with our operating system. In this example, the customer is from an Asian country, Japan. So it's a Japanese-specific issue we find. The question is, do we also try and repro this issue on other languages, specifically maybe other Asian languages, to make sure that, although they may not, there's a high chance that they could be affected by this as well. And then do those get fixed in those languages, and do we provide all those fixes to all those languages in the service pack to the world? Excellent question. The answer is yes. So we have teams in other countries that do testing and validation for all the languages. And I don't know how exactly NT4 and Windows 2000 complete testing is going to work, but we have had a team in the past over in MSKK, or Japan, to do testing of Asian languages. And the team over in Ireland that did more of the European languages. And we had a team here that did, there were 7 languages that we tested here. I think exactly English and a few German, a few others here. And any issue that we found or was brought to our attention in any one of the languages, we made sure that through the other test teams that it wasn't affecting other languages. And where it was, we would make the appropriate change just to make sure that all languages were level set, so that when we produced the service pack, we didn't have a fix that should be in the Japanese version of the service pack, making sure that it was also in the Korean or any of the other languages of the service pack that were affected. So yes, we keep everything in sync across not only the languages, but also across the SKUs. So if it's specifically an issue in, say, Windows 2000 Workstation, Japanese, but it may also affect, for whatever reason, only Windows 2000 Advanced Server Korean, and those are the only 2 languages, 2 SKUs, we would test all that, and those 2 fixes would go into the service pack, so those 2 platforms would get fixed when the service pack finally shipped. So it's a very good question. Anything else? Okay. Thank you for coming. Welcome. Enjoy the weather. It's great today. And you have my email alias. I think that's it. But let me put this back up. I'm Dennis V, DENNISV here, and you're more than welcome to send me any questions in mail. I can either help answer or I can at least direct you to the right person. I know you're going to have a lot of contacts made. Feel free to use them. And again, the slide that outlines the organizational chart and the developers and the testers, those groups, that'll be a good source for you as well. And I thank you very much for having me. Thanks.